In the name of Jesus.
Amen.
Once, during a battle, enemy troops surrounded a unit of U.S. Marines. The situation seemed hopeless, so the attackers urged the Marines, just surrender, Well, his troops' eyes were on the U.S. commander, and he thought a bit and smiled and said, "Okay, guys, we have him right where we want him." I don't recall exactly how that turned out, but Jesus seems to be in the same spot this morning. He's all alone. He's surrounded by enemies. He's on trial for his life. Pilate even seems to taunt and play with Jesus a little bit. "Ha! King, are you?" But the tables get turned. "My kingdom is not of this world," Jesus says. Well, what does he mean by that? Maybe not what we think. He's not saying, my kingdom's not here on earth, it's floating up there somewhere in heaven. No. Nor is he saying, my kingdom's hidden away in church and in the privacy of the individual soul, but it's not right out here in the events of the day. Nor is he saying, my kingdom isn't here now. It'll come sometime 1,000,000 years from now in the distant future at the end of the world. No. Pilate would have been only too glad to accept those answers, laugh in Jesus' face, and then kill him. Jesus didn't mean any of those things. He is saying what is the truth. I am in charge of everything here and now. And strangely, he's right. Pilate feels it, and it creeps him out. Pilate is not comfortable here. Look at this man. He's governor. He has all the power and control. He's got soldiers and fortresses and tax money and laws and executioners. He's got the power to throw a man in jail and torture him and even kill him if he wants. But he is not in control of the situation, and he knows it. Jesus is. Pilate doesn't even want to be dealing with this problem. Certainly not now, when the city is jam-packed for a religious festival. Are you crazy? But Jesus forces him to. Pilate would like some solid evidence so he could convict Jesus. Maybe a confession forced out of him by torture. Jesus doesn't give him any evidence. So Pilate wants to sweep this whole thing under the rug. Just get rid of it, make it go away. Jesus won't let him. Pilate really does not want to execute an innocent man. But Jesus gives him no choice. You will do what I say. See, poor Pilate, he is middle management in a human, earthly kingdom. I imagine this office, he's got a little gold eagle for Rome on his desk, and he's got a portrait of the emperor on the wall. And he's got the humongous stack of paperwork he has to get through and a splitting headache to go with it. And the kingdom that he understands is an earthly kingdom, which is at heart based on desire and fear. All human empires work this way. You want what you desire, and so you get your power in hand and you go take it. Whatever it is you desire, land, gold, money, you name it. But now comes the fear. What if the guy you took it from wants it back? Or even worse, what if he wants revenge? Or what if somebody else wants what you want and attacks you to get it? Now you've got a fight on your hands. And you don't know where all the threats are coming from. They could be anywhere. And you're not sure you'll be able to meet the challenge. And at heart, what you really fear is this whole thing's going to fall apart. We're going to die. Our empire will be destroyed. So here, Pilate's afraid. He's afraid there's going to be a big bloody riot during Passover, and it'll be his fault, and for good reason. See, the soft underbelly of every human empire is fear. They all live by terror. But they usually do everything they can to hide their fear, usually by making other people feel afraid instead. So they dress up their leaders in fancy clothes, and they design impressive ceremonies, and they build big armies with big weapons to hide their fear. They growl aggressively, and they make threats, and they posture, and they stir up hate, and they make up stories to prove that they are superior. We're Romans, we're superior. And they write high-sounding laws to justify the crimes they've committed. Or maybe they talk nonsense about civilizing all those savages out there, as if they were doing people a favor by killing them and stealing their stuff. We get a little taste of all this today from Pilate. Did you notice what he says to Jesus? Well, don't blame me if you get whacked, Jesus. It's your own leaders who turned you in. Really? You can do better than that. This is a weaselly excuse for what he knows he has to do, and a typical attempt of people in power to play divide and conquer with the ones they want to rule. We see it all the time. And here is where Jesus uses the truth to rip the mask off of Herod. To Pilate, rather. Pilate, face it. You're afraid of mobs in the streets. You're afraid of screwing up. So, you're going to tell lies, and you're going to execute an innocent man, a man you know is innocent, because you're too weak, Pilate, to do the right thing. And then you're going to try to blame other people for your failure. Great job. Jesus' kingdom is entirely different. It's not like these worldly kingdoms. His kingdom already commands the situation in Pilate's own fortress. The kingdom that Jesus represents is not run by some thug in a palace, but by the everlasting God. It is not based on desire and fear which take and hoard for themselves, but by the perfect love that casts out all fear. Jesus is not afraid. It is based not on the desire to get for oneself, but on the joy of bestowing and blessing and giving. It does not seek to enslave, but to set people free. Free from sin and death and the grip of evil in all of its forms, everything that corrupts and pollutes human life. It does not seek to cripple its enemies to stay in control, but gives power to people to make them strong. It functions not on the basis of self-justifying lies, but on the basis of the truth. Relentless truth. We see this right here, though. You notice, Jesus is in danger of being tortured to death, but he does not threaten Pilate, nor call down hot revenge, 12 legions of angels, or what have you. No, he talks seriously. Because even though Pilate does not know it, even he, the Roman emperor, is just another human being, made in the image of the everlasting God, God whom God loves. Pilate has the potential to be a citizen of the merciful God's kingdom here and now if he will just drop his pretensions. But see, Jesus has the real trump card. As I said earlier, empires are afraid of falling apart. They're afraid of death and destruction. So they want to inflict death and destruction on their enemies to protect themselves. And that is why Pilate here is threatening Jesus with death in the desperate hope, will you please shut up and fall into line? But Jesus is not afraid even of death. And so he says, go right on ahead, knock yourself out, kill me. Go on, do it. Because even if you do kill me, Pilate, I win. Even if you shed my blood will set people free from everything that enslaves them. From their sins, from their wayward desires, their fears, even from you, Pilate. For the God who is and was and is to come, who gives life to the whole universe, even gives life to the dead, even gives life to you, Pilate. That God cannot be defeated, even by death. You'll see this. You will see him coming on the clouds. See, this is why all tyrants are afraid of the Christian faith and try to stamp it out, or they try to corrupt it into a tool of their empires. This is why Archbishop Oscar Romero was shot to death in his robes leading Mass. This is why Martin Luther King Jr. was shot. It is because the one who is and was and is to come is already today bringing his kingdom of love into the world through his saints. In this kingdom, yes, God seeks to get rid of his enemies, not by slaying them, but by loving them at great cost to himself, until they can recognize that even they are his beloved.